What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the official #1 Sliders review show. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, where you come to get your Sliders news and conversation. Anything else out there is not official. I mean, it might be, but shit, we could dream. I am your co-host, Rain Coleman, the Carefree Black Nerd. Happy to be back again, sliding through these separate worlds. And I have with me the man with the master plan, Robert.
Yo, happy to be here. Happy to be jumping back into a great episode about a few fellas, right?
Yes, yes, very, very much so. Jesus Christ. So this is season 2. We're on episode 10, which we haven't even come up on a year, have we, of doing this podcast? We've not, because that was the fall last year, 2024.
Yeah, so we're getting close. We're we're getting close.
Wild, because it feels, I don't know if it's just because I've been podcasting for so long, or we've done so many shows together and like separate of this.
Yeah.
But it just feels like a year is already coming. I don't know.
I mean, I think I can definitely understand the feeling as if there's been a lot of time to this show. I will say, because I wonder if part of it is because we're so used to binging.
Yeah.
And then we take it in, but then you might talk with friends about, it's like, that was great, right?
Yeah.
And so then, you do a podcast and it's just like kind of extending. That's why, I don't see how people can do it with like the 22 episodes. Like, it's just like, I mean, I love listening to it, but as much as I love track, like that would have to be done we'd have to figure out a batches situation. These 5 episodes, let's talk about them, and then we come back, so. But and it's I think we got like 3 or 4 more episodes after this.
Yeah, I believe so.
That this one, at least here, isn't like the 13, the 22 episodes. Yeah, we got 3 more episodes after this. So,
okay. Yeah. Oh, what a interesting. And then also, I guess Sliders lends itself to that feeling already. Hell, I don't even know how long they've been sliding. I don't even know if they're keeping up with the chronologicalness of I feel like there's a better chronology. The time. You know what?
The timeline, that might be it.
What the hell was I talking about? It doesn't seem like they're keeping up.
I mean, when you writing books, when you writing books, you put in all your effort into getting that out. So sometimes, the word selection might come up short, and other ends, like you got to put all that into the book.
Hey,
speaking of. That's my segue. That's my segue for the week. Congratulations to Mr. Coleman.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Book.
Thank you. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm done. My first book in my 3-book series is done. Loving Ashley. It is a male romance contemporary set in a fictional city of my own creation, and I have to credit the likes of Robert and those other comic book creators from before, because that is a lot of where my influence came in when it came to developing the city that this story exists in, and then the story itself. Like, kudos to you and your ilk, you and your people, because that is them X-Men stories, and then them soap operas growing up, and then them primetime 90s shows. That's how we got this book to begin with. So
love it. Love it.
Man, so if anybody's interested in it, of course, I'll link it below and you
Mm-hmm.
can check it out. And if it's not for you, give it to somebody who it might be for. But yeah, man, thanks.
Yeah, man. No, like I said, I'm proud. I just did a search on Amazon or the website that shall not be named. I don't know.
Yeah.
And when I typed in the title, it was the first thing, first thing that popped up. So
I
yeah,
love that. I
so
love
that's what's
that.
up.
Man, yeah. So y'all get into it. It's some world building in there. It ain't like it's a world building. I say that. Some city world building. Man. And honestly, my comic influences have really this ain't even me exaggerated or just because this is the Carefree Black Nerd like system.
Yeah.
I quite literally am like telling stories, yeah, but like the amount of like continuity chasing and maps that I'm doing, it's so comic book. It is
I love it.
it's crazy. So hopefully I can do my big one and finish this series before the year is up. But my God, there's a lot going on.
That's what's up, man.
Yes.
You love it.
Well, here we go.
Here we go.
Let's get into Greatfellas.
Yeah.
The Sliders get involved in a turf war on a world where Rembrandt is the top federal agent. Again, I do not read these synopses before watching the episode. I wait until we're recording before I do. I just go into the episode blind. And this episode was they had some lofty ideas. I'll say that. I'll say they had some ideas.
Okay.
I can appreciate the attempt, but this did not land for me.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if through us talking it through, maybe it might. But at first watch, and actually second watch, because we recorded a week later and I'd started it and I could not finish it that first time. And so when we decided to wait a week, I was like, okay, good, I can chill. But even going through it this kind of second time or time and a half, it just didn't do it. We gonna see though. What about you? General thoughts?
General initial thoughts. It's a filler episode. I think one of the reasons I kind of lean towards enjoying it is because it's a Rembrandt heavy episode.
Yeah.
And, I always say that it's too rare that we get those, where he is the main focus, or at least I think they were doing a better job of trying to have everybody balanced out this season compared to the first season.
I agree.
But everything is always either Quinn or the professor, at least with like the A plot or the plot A or whatever you want to call it. So this is one of those kind of like Remy episodes that's kind of like, like I want to say in my heart or whatever, but I enjoy it. Okay. But definitely it's that's kind of where it is, like filler episode, but I like it for that. So as we always do, talking it out might rank up, cause it to rank up than where it is right now. But that's those are initial thoughts about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, let's see if we can change some minds.
It's funny. I expect the fans who are watching this to be like, "What minds need to be changed?" This is excellent. So we start off on a world which, once again, is not connected to the previous world. It is what it is. Episodic TV, episodic 90s TV. But I call this one Lawsuit World because it's a very litigious society, and I actually like that we kind of get that all from like this opening, which kind of works for me. But it starts off with Way journaling again. I was like, whoa, okay, this is let's go back to this. And she's I want to say I want to give it to them and say like they're trying. Like this season we've had them referencing previous worlds from the previous season, so they were like, you know what, it worked the first season for that one episode, let's bring it back. So, so she's talking about how with every Earth that they go to, it feels as if their world is passing further and further away, or they're getting further and further away from it. So she's journaling and not eating. They're at a burger stand, and the professor is trying to get a burger, and he eventually, he comes back, and it's like Quinn, Remy, and Wade are, sitting at the bench, and then the professor comes back and he says that he can't place an order. So apparently everybody on this world. And one of the things that Quinn says is that everybody's worried about being sued in the newspapers. Critics they're worried about writing a bad movie review. And it says 85% of the world are lawyers. So when the professor comes back, he talks about he can't buy the burger because they need permits to buy certain things, for reasons, because they're worried about cholesterol levels and stuff. So Remy's like, I'm hungry. I want a burger. I don't, we can go to the next world and just be run by a bunch of crazed vegetarians or whatever. So he's hungry. So he tries to go to the stand. Professor's like, go ahead. And the guy says, just like I told your friend, you need to show proof of salmonella insurance and your carbonated release forms. And then Remy's just like, okay, what can whatever, I'm not filling that out. What else can I buy? And he says, well, want some French fries or whatever. But it's funny because he places all this whole order, and he can't buy anything. And I think he asked for like French fries, right? And so then he says, well, okay, so now I need your ID plus a doctor's note for the cholesterol. And then he turns to the professor, and the professor just laughs, which is the best. And so Rembrandt walks away, and as he's walking away, frustrated, and the professor's laughing at him like I told you so, he bumps into a little old lady. And, it basically says, sorry for bumping into you. And they walk away because at this point, I think they got minutes until their slide. And a guy sees the altercation and rushes after them like around the corner and says, hey, that lady is threatening to sue you for bumping into her, and then admitting that you bumped into her. And he says, you're looking at a collision suit, and the lady, whatever, it's just all this BS. And they start laughing. And, Remy is just like, as the slide portal opens up, and like, whatever, we're done with this. He tells the guy, if you feel so strongly about it, you take the case. And then they jump away. But for me, I like that part because this is an instance of somebody reacting to the slide rather than just standing there and being like, yo, this is normal. This is Monday. So we go to the next world, which I'm just going to call Gangster World.
Yeah.
And we get, it's a wedding happening at this very like nice mansion, I guess, for lack of a better term. And everybody's dressed up. Everybody is like looking, dressed to the nines. One thing that you notice is that I think they call is it yarmulkes?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so you have the bride's family there. It looks like they're of Jewish descent. So the father is wearing a yarmulke, and her brother, his name is I think Tommy. And for some reason, the guy starts, and Mel Torme is there, right? So Mel Torme is there to be the to sing or perform, and he says that he feels his throat is like parched, and he is threatened by the father. So you realize that this is not a normal family, it had been like a normal wedding. So he says his voice is hoarse, so he tells him also to play the wedding march. So we get to the marriage. The bride obviously looks like she doesn't want to be married. She looks like she's married an old ass man, apparently. And what happens is, in the midst of this wedding, the slide portal opens up, and I think Quinn and Wade jump into I think it's the pool. And then Remy falls into like a bush, which is like right next to where the groom and the bride are getting married. And when he stands up, everybody pulls out a bunch of guns. The one note that I did say is the stunt double for Rembrandt is ridiculous. So the mobsters They pull out their guns and they hold them on these guys on Rembrandt, and Tommy then says to his father, the brother of the bride says, "It's the Incorruptibles. They're throwing the gauntlet down right in front of us." And it's just like, okay. And so everybody is upset, and they put back their guns. And then, Remy, the funny thing is he thinks that these people are fans, right? He thinks that they're fans, and they, it's this whole thing that we've had from the past or whatever, like wherever they go, if somebody recognizes him, is because of the music. And then he sees Mel Torme and goes over and says, Mel, it's Rembrandt. And once again, he realizes like, oh yeah, this is not my world's, my world's Mel Torme. And the mobsters are like looking at Mel, like, whatever, like what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And once again, Rembrandt still thinks that they're reacting to his celebrity. So I'll stop it there because I think that's kind of where the credits come in or whatever. It might have come in earlier, but what's your thoughts about this opening or this chunk?
This opening was silly as shit, but I think it was really effective. The first thing I thought about was that lady who spilled hot coffee from McDonald's in her lap back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if that had something to do with
probably
like,
did, I
think. Yeah, because I was like, the diner itself looked like an old school McDonald's. It was I mean, it's a generic diner, but it looked like those first like roller skating McDonald's. But yeah, I did like the opening. Like you said, I like people responding. I don't know why we don't get that more often. Yeah. This is one world where I think we spent enough time there. Like usually I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of time. But there was so much going on. I was thinking, like, how do you craft a story when you need a doctor's note to get fries?
Yeah.
Like, how do you craft an entertaining story that was made in the 90s? I'll say that. Because so I think that's one thing I can say they did a really good job at, just getting in, getting out. And I like the four being able to laugh at the expense of others with the slide, because the slides are usually traumatic as hell. They're being shot at or hunted down or something. Like this was like, no, motherfucker, fuck this. I wish they had did more damage. Like they've been so helpful, quote unquote, in every world. I would have just started pushing people. Like fuck this. When they got to the new world, what did you say? Gangster world.
Or Scorsese world.
This Nino Brown, New Jack City as wedding. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So this is where I want to be very clear. I think the episode was fine. I don't hate the episode, but I think that I feel like it was trying to be something that it didn't have the time to be. Because I don't know, whatever. I might change my mind. One thing I noticed is that they slid into the pool, and yet nobody reacted to the slide. It was the presence of
right. It was just
like I get it. He's a detective, but I'm just like, these people came out of the sky. How do you think they got here? I was like, what are we?
Where did the professor go?
He said, "You're not throwing me." He walked his ass. He was like, "Fuck all that shit. I'm walking in." And this is why when he said it's the Incorruptibles, my mind went to the Incredibles. My mind went to, oh, this is some power type world. Because why is what?
It's like the Untouchables.
Yeah, look, something. In my mind, who's a terrible person? I don't know. The president. And like if he came through a portal in my house, I would be concerned that you're in my house, but I'd be more concerned that you came through a portal and not the front door. So like, what are we? That kind of threw me there.
Yeah,
Rembrandt was pissing me the fuck off.
Yeah,
all of them really, but Rembrandt, you know what? I'm all for being delusional. I'm all for thinking that you are the best thing ever. Not saying he's not. He's great. But you really think that you slid to this world and you could have tons of fans, but this is very clearly a wedding. Yeah. It's not like a bunch of people at a pool party. This was a wedding. I was like, what are we? I'm trying not to judge this too harshly because it kind of feels like you're backsliding into Rembrandt from season 1. But not like I feel like there's a way to address his celebrity going forward that fits with the character we've gotten so far. Because the man that laid on that therapist couch that got that man sent to the psych ward is not the same man. That's it. Also, Rembrandt has had celebrity like twice, right? Wasn't it The King is Back? Did he do something else? I cannot for the life of me remember. But I feel like he's he's butted up against celebrity more than once in these different worlds. Y'all are sliders.
Yeah.
You are not. I hate to sound like I'm just ranting, but it's like y'all, this world may not be yours. So to just be like, oh, fuck yeah, there's that guy I knew. Hey, everybody, like, you don't know what's going on. This could be a world where people shoot bullets out of their mouth when they smile. Like, what are we doing?
Did he because I'm gonna admit I watched the episode and I should have done like a double, like a rewatch or whatever. So I have the notes, but like some of the stuff might be fuzzy, but help me remember. They pulled guns out, right?
Yeah, they hold on. I think because I got it. I know they reacted. I feel like they did. Yes, big guns too. The old school. I don't know I'm not a gun person. I think they may be AKs. With the thick body and the
right. So he saw guns. That's the thing.
This is okay, and I know this wasn't intentional, but this is also a side effect of like, where were the black people? Because you mean to tell me Rembrandt, black ass, dark as he is, popped out into this wedding with all these white folks, and all these white people got guns on him, and there was not. I'm not even saying, oh, is it because I'm black? No, like you're a black man in the 90s. There's no way. After 92, Rodney King, there's no way that you would have saw this and be like, hey, motherfuckers, you want me to sing? What are you doing?
Right. And that was the thing. That was like, even if it had, the awkward, first of all, they didn't react to the portal opening up over the pool. Okay, so let's like that's to the side.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's a celebrity angle. As soon as a gun is like pulled into my face, I'm not, every thought about what I think is happening is going out the door, because it's obviously not going the way that I'm thinking. Like, oh shit, I was coming to get some KFC. Oh shit, there's a gun. I'm not getting food tonight, or some shit like that. But it's completely opposite. So so going forward, we go to San Francisco, and the city is just lit up because it's like Vegas, and we get the explanation of that. So apparently, rather than in the Nevada area, Bugsy Siegel's casino empire grew up in Northern California. Like, I had North CA, and it's like Northern California. I'll get this right one day, y'all. So one of the things that we're noticing is as they're walking on the street, people are coming up to Rembrandt and getting his autographs, and but we'll find out why that is, which is weird. And then the other thing we notice is that Ronald Reagan is running for re-election as governor. So it sounds as if he never went into, went to the president or become president or ran for office. So that kind of suggests something also. So when we get to the hotel, the Dominion for this world, once again, Will Sasso Gomez is there, which is pretty cool. And he notices who they are, and he calls them the Incorruptibles again. And it says it's safe for them to stay at the hotel. He gives them a room, and once again, they're not picking up on anything just yet. And he winds up calling somebody. He calls somebody, Deputy Director Brown, basically just calling to tell them. I think he's asking. He tells the person that he calls that Deputy Director Brown is at the hotel, and people are in there like, I thought he was supposed to be somewhere else. I think he was supposed to be in Canada at the Mountie conference. Yeah. So anyway, so something's up. So when we get back to the gangsters at the mansion, the families, the two, families represented by, the wife, the bride and the groom, they're talking about Rembrandt showing up, and they're all upset. And one of the things that also comes out of the conversation is that they are like, well, I guess Mel Torme is an informant and we'll take care of him. It's just like, damn, that was quick. It was quick. So, but it's going back to the whole thing. They, you show the father, you showing Tommy being a hothead, and then I never got the name of the guy who's the father of the groomsmen, but he's representing like the Italian mafia family. So that was actually one thing that I did and kind of enjoy, rather than it just being like Italian mob and one Italian mob. You actually have the Jewish mob and the Italian mafia, which is, I always say, if you watch something like Boardwalk Empire, you get that, you get that history of the different types of mafias, including the Black Mafia, BMF. No, it's not the same, not the same thing, not the same thing. But anyway, so we go back to the hotel, and apparently, once again, how they learn, they're watching TV, and on this world, mob movies and mob culture are pretty big, especially on the Disney Channel. I would love to see that show. There's no alcohol in the refrigerator, so this is what do you say, a dry country?
Yeah.
And so Quinn goes to look for the newspaper to get more information. So he leaves the three in the room, and as he goes out, Gomez shows up and tells Quinn to, hey, someone wants to talk to you. And so when he goes into the stairwell, it's Mel Torme, and Quinn is just smiling because he's just like, this is Mel Torme, right? Not realizing, like, this, once again, this is not the Mel Torme of your world, but Mel Torme is a cool guy. So Torme is talking to him about the operation being broken up. Basically, he sells him, like, with them showing up, it kind of messes up he actually is working for the feds. There's a chance that his operation is going to break up. And what he was investigating was the two crime families are trying to come together to build this gambling paradise. So this like illegal gambling paradise, but with Rembrandt showing up before he could get the evidence or whatever, he basically is pointed out by Rembrandt, and the families now suspect him rather than before when they didn't. So apparently on this world, Remy is the head of the FBI. He's a FBI director or deputy director, but he's like their Elliot Ness, right? So kids history lesson. Look into like who Elliot Ness is. But basically, he's going after the crime families of this world. And Torme tells them to wait for his signal because once again, he still thinks that these are the incorruptibles. And so Quinn goes back to the room, and when he goes in, he waits in the hallway. Tommy comes out of the hotel room. So when he goes in, Rembrandt is holding like, what is it, $100,000?
Yes.
It's a bunch of money.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, the guy from the wedding just came in. And then Quinn says, you just accepted a bribe because on this world you are, you're the lead FBI agent or whatever, trying to go after the mob. And then that's when it, cuts to break. So got a lot happening. So what are your thoughts?
This is silly as hell. I was like, I don't even recall them checking the timer when they came through this world.
They don't anymore. They don't.
I was like, what the hell is going on? And it's so crazy because the writers know how long they're on. You can just go back to the beginning of the episode and say they were here for 4 days. So the timer, we're here for 3 days. Or I was like, why? What is going on? So Rembrandt is silly as fuck. I actually do like, I still have my same issues, but I do like the episode because I do feel as if, though the silly shit happening with the sliders, I do think everyone else in the episode committed to the type of world this was. Like everybody. So I that is one good thing I'll say throughout this. That's mob, gang, mafia culture is not my bread and butter when it comes to consuming media, but I've seen it enough growing up that this to me feels right. Queen, I'm gonna say right now, the professor's probably the only person that didn't really piss me off this episode. Queen, goofy ass. I feel like they have no survivor instinct when it comes to sliding, which is dangerous. But I'm also of the mind that some of this stuff, like how else is it going to happen? Like getting Quinn into that stairwell to have Tommy come out the room. Like how else does that stuff happen? And if Quinn is in that room, Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Scott Summers, like they don't take that money. So I can put those feelings into the backseat, but I thought that sequence was really good. Catch him at the ice fountain, at the ice machine, and then pulling him into the stairwell, and then Tommy coming out. That whole, I think that was done expertly. Right. I'm just tired of them not having common sense. My question was, and I'm going to ask this again a little bit later in the episode for a specific reason, the Incorruptibles, why are they famous? Like,
so one of the things that I thought, so there are a couple of things. So because I know of their Elliot Ness in our world and the group of people, and I don't know if people knew like the exact folks that were in that group or that task force. They were well known, so I think they were trying to draw parallels between the actual Incorruptibles. But the question that it kept coming, the Untouchables, but the question that kept coming up for me, which kind of ties into that, was, did people just assume that anybody that ran with Rembrandt was incorruptible, or were the parallel versions of this world's Quinn, Professor, and Wade a part of the Incorruptible? So I think I always just kind of chalked it up to anybody who rolled with Rembrandt wasn't incorruptible. So,
but see, now I'm gonna ask that question again. Only because, and you may be able to help me with this, and it gets a little bit ahead in the episode, but the CIA's home base, the way that shit looked.
So the FBI, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. So I guess my question is it because mob culture is so big here that they're like maybe famous vigilantes? Like, because I was looking, like, if I just live here and I have a regular job and I'm not affiliated, not just doing stuff, why am I getting this man's autograph? Like, there's so much crime.
Yeah.
So
it seems like it's funny. What was the there was an episode where we were trying to figure out how crime worked on that world. It was from it was like one of the first seasons.
Yeah.
We had to talk about this or whatever. It was the Wild West world.
Yeah, okay.
Just like, so if you can just walk around and just shoot people in the streets, he's like, what separates this justified homicide from an actual like non-justified homicide? So in this world, so it's just following, because in a world where crime culture is so accepted, why are you being like treating the law as celebrities, right? And like you said, they seem to have fallen out of favor with everybody because they don't have the money. Yeah, so I don't. Some of it doesn't math up. It doesn't add up.
And I'm going to accept what they gave me, but I was just like, I don't see because I could even make the argument for the law being counterculture, being like grunge and hip hop. I can give you that, but it's still like these people are operating from a dilapidated warehouse. So, but yeah, that was one of my biggest, like, what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, that's pretty much it. I got that. I said, when they operating from a shack, and then why don't these people ever look for themselves when you go into a new world?
Well, I think that kind of ties into what I'll get into with the next scene. So I think when they go to a world and they're possibly about to get killed, they're just like, let's hold off. Let's hold off on finding ourselves.
There we go. Yeah.
So Wade says, we go back to the hotel, and actually I saw in my notes, this is where the mention of the time is given. So Wade gives the money. Wade says gives the money back. They're trying to figure out what to do. The professor says they should lie low because they have 27 hours left on this world. So Remy says they made it look like this world's Rembrandt is actually corruptible, and they are responsible for that. And once again, the professor is like, F this ish, let's lie low. And so Quinn is just like, let's let me just go to Mel Torme and get in touch with him and find out, with the actual Rembrandt, to find out and explain to him like what's happening, because that always works out. And funny note, side note, sliders trivia. The co-creator of the show, Tracy Torme, is the son of Mel Torme. So there you go.
Oh, fucking K.
Yeah, wow. So that's why random Mel Torme was in this episode. So
hey, yo.
Yeah, so shout out to the Tormes. So we go to the casino, which I want to say that this is the same casino from the Western episode, probably, whatever, but they used the heck out of it. I do like them, once again, filming on location, which was really cool. And I'm always going to say there's something that gets lost with going to LA in the later seasons. We see Quinn go to the casino because he's he's trying to look for Mel. He knows he's going to have a show there, playing up the whole Las Vegas side of things, as Quinn is walking around, looking like my aunt said I look when I went to New York Times, like, oh my God, just like the bright lights. And my dad was ashamed in a funny way. Well, because he was from New York, he said, VJ, you can't be looking like that when you walk around the city. And my aunt told him, like, yeah, VJ was like awestruck by the tall buildings. That's how Quinn looks. Quinn is just like looking around. He looks like a mark, right?
Yes.
So Quinn goes to the bartender and asks about Mel Torme, and he asked for a beer. And the bartender was like, he said something like, does this look like a speakeasy? Right. And because, there's no alcohol being sold on this world. So once again, kind of drawing parallels to the Prohibition era of America. And then when the gangsters and the mafia rose up. So the attractive lady is at the end of the bar, and she's starting to get roughed up by this guy. And Quinn, because Quinn is who he is, he steps over, tells him to stop, and then he eventually beats up the guy, and then he gets kicked out of the bar with the lady, right? By the bartender, who I think raises a bet and like, I'm about to beat your ass or whatever. So he walks her to the cab, and Quinn is just like, man, I've done a good thing, even though I was supposed to be there to go and talk to somebody, whatever. She kisses him and steals his money. Quinn notices, and that's the thing, he had taken the money with him to give back to Mel to find out what to do. And then he notices that she drives away with his money, and so once again, Quinn getting involved with these ladies and got hustled. And I think you said in one episode, Quinn has the poorest judgment when it comes to the women on this show.
Dumb.
But we go back to the hotel. There's a commercial for a guy who's running for, I think he's running for governor. I think he's the local DA for San Francisco. And his name is Joseph Biaggi. The only reason I'm going to mention him is because he has a big part in the episode. But he's apparently a crusading candidate for governor. It looks like he's running against Reagan. And Reagan apparently here is seen as soft on crime. And Biaggi is promising to raise taxes. Well, I didn't say the word. I said it's like the B. Let's just call him Joseph B, because I don't want YouTube like canceling us. But he's promising to raise taxes, apparently, which is a big thing. And they also learned here that Prohibition was never repealed. I think that's what it is. You're repealed. So it's still a dry country. Mobsters grew rich. They built criminal empires and divided the country into competing territories. And so that's basically what the marrying of these two families was to shore up power in Northern California with the gambling. And the professor is the one that says blood is thicker than water. So that's our big explanation for, how things work on this world. So we got a lot. How are you feeling? What's going on?
Quinn is dumb. I'm so tired of Quinn, and I'm tired of him because they keep randomly pushing him and Wade. But then you run into a situation like with that lady that stole your money. And I think the show wants to be like, oh, he's such a stand-up guy. He was helping that girl. I don't give a fuck about that. we're here. Like we're in state. We're already in this mess because you want to clear the name of the Rembrandt of this world, which is fine. But just because you had a side quest from a pretty woman, that gets old, and that especially gets old. And I don't have the language for it, but it's like Wade is right there, and instead of devoting time to giving them a true slow burn of a relationship, you keep doing stupid shit like this. But then, and I'm not saying that they're making Wade the bad guy, but when Wade brings it up, like, motherfucker, you've been, kissing these women even in front of her, like the blonde lady who he stayed from seeing, like you all up in her mouth. It's like, what is the point of this dude? Like, what is he to be the everyman that he needs to, like, because the professor could have very easily fulfilled that role.
Yeah,
Wade could have very well fulfilled that role. Like, I don't need him. I think that may have been my biggest issue with this episode, is that I feel like it focused a lot on Quinn being this like old school Detective Comics ass dude, and I'm like, you could have get that to the professor, and I would have been okay. I'd still would have been like, what are you doing? But I would have. You could have played up her looking like his ex-wife who got away. Like, there's so many things you could have done that would have made that more meaningful than just this kiss of the week for Quinn.
Yeah,
you have a child out there because you just cannot stop. I will not let him live that down. Your child is now devoid of his father's family because you just.
That's gonna be the Sliders reboot. It's gonna be about his son.
Gotta be just hopping through worlds trying to find him and gonna find that evil Queen from episode 1. Yeah. So my biggest issue with this leg of the episode was that they don't do a good job looking for themselves. I did like the musical break. I thought that was fun. It wasn't. I was like, okay, this could have been a little better, but also it's the 90s. We were well fed with recording artists being on TV shows. New York Undercover alone, Charmed, Moesha, like we got our feel. So I did like this. All in all, it's not terrible. I do like that Rembrandt sort of attempted a disguise, kind of. Queen is dumb.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question about this trunk was, do you think the episode could have worked without that storyline, without his pocket being picked and him like spending most of the episode trying to get that money back?
Yes, I think so. But and if it had been a professor, even if because it would have been nice to have even had Wade take on Quinn's role of helping some guy. I figured out this Sliders, everything's made up. It could be something with technology because she's a tech girl, and now she deals with this, and now it's like, oh, I'm a woman, and he got me for my money in a way that we're used to on our earth. Women maybe seducing the man, like that would have been. We didn't need it, but
it would have worked better that way.
I just don't like that Quinn was so front and center in this, where it felt like it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
So
I think, like for me, until you had given the idea of like the professor or Wade being like in that role, I would have taken it out because once again, I want more focus on Rembrandt, and actually that would have worked better. But like I said, if we roll with it, I would have, rather we have done what you suggested. So we go back to the casino. I think as you were talking about, Mel Torme performs a cowboy song, and if you're a Mel Torme fan, this is shit, right? So we show afterwards, Quinn goes and talks to Mel, and like a lot of characters in this series, Mel's just like, fuck it, man, that's a great story, I believe it. It's just like, it's just like
you have an honest face. What?
Right? He's like, you got an honest face, like not like, are you high? Like you just like. Because in my mind, like, you might be a crackhead coming back here. It's like, I ain't got no money. And I slide to different worlds. So I don't know. But Torme believes him because we got to keep it moving along.
Yeah.
Right? He said, like you say, you have an honest face, which and I'm gonna tell that story to somebody because apparently I have an honest face, right? That I come from a different world. And he says he'll call Washington to confirm where Rembrandt is at. So if there's anything clashes with their story or lines up and whatever. So Torme is at San Francisco is about to, he says explode, which I think is hilarious because I have a dark sense of humor.
Yes.
he says San Francisco is about to explode because of the merging of these families. Crime's about to get out of control. Quinn's walking him out to his car, and he tells him, and I guess his squad to stay low, to lay low, and Quinn walks away, and this is why, like, the comedy on the show, I think, works at times. He walks away and says something like, "Mel Torme, what a great guy." And then they come back to the car that Mel Torme got in, and then this thing just blows up. It just blows up, and I'm just like, now that is definitely like a Goodfellas, Scorsese type of thing, right? If you've seen Casino, famous scene of and which actually might have come out after this, now to think about it, but Mafia killed Mel Torme because they were suspicious. So and Quinn actually does look like terrified.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. He looks terrified.
Yeah,
like we got Mel Torme killed. So there you go, Quinn.
Another one.
Well, in this case, it was Rembrandt because Rembrandt was the one giving him hugs and shit and just saying, that's my brother. Hey, you're my godson, godfather, whatever. No, whatever. So, so Mel Torme is dead. We go to the train station. That's going to be the clip for this show. Mel Torme is dead. So we go to a train station, and there's FBI agent waiting for Rembrandt. And Rembrandt, this world's Rembrandt, gets off the train. And this is where I'm like, yes, Clavant, you killed it. I really liked him in this role. And he just looks like, they used to call, I don't know if they still call him that, but the G-Man, right? He looks like a government agent, like, whatever, I got this, right? And so he meets up with another agent, Agent Reed, and he tells them that there's, Rembrandt said he was at this, like a conference or something with the Canadian Mounties.
Yeah.
And he says, like, I got called back and, why am I here? And Agent Reed says something he just basically tells him, like, well, sir, there's a story that you broke Mel Torme's cover and you showed up at the wedding and basically pointed out Mel Torme. And Rembrandt was like, I was in Canada, and he's he's definitely being a little bit more forceful than I put in my notes, Clavant is acting his ass off. And Agent Reed is like, hey, I'm just telling you what we heard. And now Mel Torme is dead. Mel Torme did a set, and now he's dead. And it might be because of you. And Rembrandt's just like, let's get back to our shack. So anyway, so we go to the next scene. Quinn is on the payphone. I think he has called the hotel room. Is telling him that he's been looking for this lady. Well, he was at the police. That's what it was, right? I think he had talked to the police about Torme getting killed or whatever. And now he's going to go back and look for, and her name is Leia. I think her name is Leia for the lady. And the payphone is a bunch of slot machines, which is ridiculous. Which is funny. And then after that, we go back to the hotel. Wade tells them that Quinn is looking for the lady of the night. What in the news? Yeah, the news isn't talking about Torme dying. Wade thinks they should go and talk to the FBI, and the professor, for some reason, I think the professor said something that made me think he was an asshole. But,
oh no, of course.
Yeah, so at that point, the bride shows up, knocks on the door, and her name is Leia Greenfield. I don't think I ever got the lady who was at the casino, but yeah, Leia Greenfield, and she wants protective custody and says she had made a deal with Torme because I guess with him being the informant or the plant, she made a deal with him and Rembrandt, and the FBI, and she would get immunity if she got a list of her father's political payoffs, for, I think it was like across the country. I don't think it was just in California. So Rembrandt says, well, I sing, I don't arrest. But he says that, they're not law enforcement. and they're trying to get her to believe him, and then Leia says, "I'm gonna die," and then that's when the professor's like, "Well, damn." He says he and Wade will go to the FBI, the local FBI office, to actually let them know what's going on. So before we jump into what's, from Torme dying to this, what you got?
I have a lot. First of all, I knew this man was gonna die. It was they were very heavy-handed, like, you're such a good guy, things are going well. I was like, man, you're not making it. Like, you're not. So that's that. Something that I want to mention, and I'm going to get just a little bit serious here. Rembrandt, to me, has been a silly character. He has been a fun character. He has been the comic relief, and this is the episode where, to me, and I know this is all subjective, he became like a sex symbol leading man. There was something in, and this is, if you the first time here, I'm a queer black man, but that part aside, seeing him, oh, I'm the crime man, look at me, like almost in this borderline caricature space that he occupies in a lot of this show, seeing his detective version being this stoic, stern person who I'm used to seeing as in the 90s in other shows like a Law and Order, like a New York Undercover, like a
Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There we go. And even though this was after, I'm thinking of like Idris Elba in Luther. Like, he gave a very and there's not, like, aesthetically he's the same person. He does not look any different. This is the same. So I'm not saying this like I wanted to preface it with the sexuality part of it, but to like disregard that, because to me it's not. You can acknowledge that someone is attractive and not be attracted to them. And I think something about this version of him, and maybe it's just me seeing the range that he can actually pull off when it's not always a gap tooth smile, like, hey y'all, look at me. And I'm not saying that that's bad, inherently bad either, but this role, and I would have probably said that for The King Is Back, and then I realized that was his twin, so I was like, well, that's a different person. So no, but this role in particular really did it for me. When I was watching it, I was thinking Blue Hill Avenue. I was thinking I don't know why I was thinking Dead Presidents, but I was just inserting this image and version of him into other 90s stuff that had police, and I was like, man,
he would have killed it. One thing that I've spoken about this before, his character changes. And this is his character changes between a certain set of seasons, and I'll leave it at that. Where the Rembrandt that we got this first two seasons, I would say more so in season 1 than in season 2. Even like you said, in season 2, we still had him kind of focused on his career and whatever. But like I told you in that first episode, they had him doing goofy shit, and it just pissed me off. There's nothing against the actor, but it was just like, oh, the tornado's coming, that type of shit. And I don't know if this is the episode where we see that transition, more of it, but this is, if you like that here, you get more of that in the later season. And I think it's strange because of not him getting this change, but because of how production and the executives were being behind the scenes. That this brother got a chance to shine in the wake of the madness that was going on. I'll leave it at that. So I agree with you. Everything, like I said, that's one of the saving graces of this episode.
And to me, he became a leading man. Like, he stepped into being a leading man. And it's not that he, again, wasn't good before, but there was something about this role where it felt like, oh, I can make you laugh, motherfucker. I can scare you. That's my biggest note for this. And I think this is the thing that kind of makes me realize I do not hate this episode. That may have not been my favorite, but this is truly a transition point for me, because again, to me he was instantly more attractive And again, sexuality aside, just in the way that a leading man is given space on screen versus a comic relief.
Yep.
So when I say he was more attractive, I mean that. I don't mean like, oh, I want to sleep with this man. No, I don't care about that. But yeah, so that's my note. That's also this car burning up. This is so fucking dramatic.
That was crazy. Mel Torme, what a guy.
What the hell? And we're gonna come back to that, but I was like, what the fuck?
It's a weird humor. It's a weird humor. The humor is weird. At times. So we go back to the casino where Quinn is trying his best to find this woman. Quinn goes and talks to the bartender, says he's looking for her. The bartender is like, "Get out of the big city, country boy." And it was just like, I wish for all the people Quinn is always punching, I wish he had just like, lifted that dude up and said, "Tell me what the she is."
Yeah.
And he has to pay the guy off to find out where this woman is. But the funny thing is, Quinn, you could have just walked. You could have just walked. You didn't have to. Well, now the thing that is cool about that is he probably paid him in otherworld money, so the guy probably got like stiffed anyways. So, but he goes to find the lady, and when he finds her, he tells her that the money belonged to the Greenfields, and he's like, "Where's the money?" And she's like, "Well, I gambled it all away." And he's like, "Let me go." Because I don't know gambling. Apparently, I'm not an adult. Was it blackjack or poker or whatever?
It was blackjack because it was whatever, like
with the cards, right?
Yeah, it was like 19 black was like a big it was blackjack.
Gotcha. 21, right? There you
go. There we go.
Yeah, I will only hit the slots if I ever go to if I go to the
casino machine and I'm good.
Like just give me my quarters or whatever, or debit card. They take debit cards now. This shit's crazy.
Sure.
Gambling is an addiction. So she says she gambled the money. He decides to go and play for it back, and that's it. So he sits down and he's about to get the money back. So we go to the FBI headquarters, which from the outside, the building is run down. It's a rundown warehouse. It looks like it's by the wharfs or whatever. And it shows how little money or influence that the federal authorities have in this world versus like back in the day when it was like J. Edgar Hoover and they had the money to go and be corrupt or whatever. No, I'm sorry. Political. I'm making politics into it, but yeah. Where basically they have money, right? Yeah. This will turn into a whole different show if I talk about the feds. So anyway, the professor sees Rembrandt. And he says that he has evidence that will suggest that and this is where I got confused because I don't remember hearing any of this shit, that California and Nevada were going to succeed from the government.
Nope.
And they and grow their own like gambling empire.
Who said that?
Maybe they were like in the gutters. I keep saying this because comics, right? But maybe Leia told them that. But like the only thing Leia said was, I have a list of payoffs. So where did this Civil War situation come from? That was one of the things that confused the hell out of me. I was just like, maybe I'm getting in my 40s. Maybe I just missed something. I will admit to that. So I'm not tripping. So he says, we have evidence to show you this. And I'm like, okay, this non-existent succession. So Rembrandt says, and they say that Leia was the one that brought the evidence or whatever. Rembrandt says that they can't protect her because the witness protection program ran out of money. And then Wade, I put Wade as getting too righteous because she says that, you're in cahoots with why won't anybody do anything and this and that and this and that. And I'm just like, once again, another case of read the fucking room. You are in a warehouse, and Rembrandt, and so when she starts accusing him of like being on the take, and the professor ain't saying shit. Right at a certain point, like strangely enough, like the professor is not saying anything. Rembrandt says, I'll have y'all thrown in jail if you keep talking that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point they like Wade realizes like, oh, this ain't my Rembrandt. I'm used
Right.
it's like this is different. So so they wind up leaving. And then we go back to the casino. Quinn is winning because math and science, right? He says something. I'm just like,
I
so,
hate him.
but essentially, he is counting cards, right?
Yes, it just call it that.
Cards. So you see these guys once again. The thing that I'm thinking about is Casino, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen Casino, you see how the mafia works in a gambling setting, and what they do to card counters and cheaters. And that's based on a true story. But in this case, the guys are like standing off to the side. I mean, Quinn better be glad they didn't just like
shoot him,
or like they do in that movie, break appendages. That's what I'll just say that. So he they know he's counting cards. When he wins, they walk up and they at least give him a warning. They say, you better take your shit and leave, just go. And we don't take kindly to like, counting cards, and they say they can beat his butt. And then he says something like advanced number theory. And I was just, I don't know math enough to know if that applies to like counting.
It doesn't. Cards. I don't care if it does. It doesn't.
And so he picks up his winnings to go cash it in. And it's funny because the woman says something like, we can work together because crime. Like, once again, this is another example of him beating up with these women who are just like, yo, they're gonna put you in jail or get you killed.
Yes.
And so then I'm just gonna go to the mobster's house. They know the Italian mob family is telling the Mr. Greenfielder, the father, that they know his daughter sold them out because she was seen going into the hotel. And they also know about, that's what she had. She had a disc. Excuse me for not mentioning that before, but some of the evidence that she brought over, with the only mention that we knew of was the list of the political payrolls was on the disc. And they know that this disc is missing with the information on it. And so he said, you better handle that so we can succeed from the union, like them Hicks. So anyways, going back to when Quinn talks to the bartender and starts Rain Man at the hotel, at the casino, up to this point, like, what are any thoughts?
Quinn and Wade are operating in their white privilege. They are operating in their white privilege, and it is a shock to see. First of all, Wade in this suit. Where'd you get this suit from, girl?
I mean, this non-existent bag that there's a fandom that I want to mention about like the magical bag, but I can't because I know it's problematic. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. But they have a magical bag that they carry around, and all the clothes and stuff are in there. So that's what I'll say.
Just very Dora the Explorer, because what the hell is going on? It is very tailored, and it's a nice suit. It's a nice suit. Yeah. I'm like, Quinn, Wade, what the fuck is going on? But so my thing is, Quinn is an abuser. He is an abusive person. Now, I will say, I think some of his all of his anger is justified. She robbed you, and you're in the middle of a case. But you are manhandling this woman in the same way that the man did who you went after to save her initially. What is going on here? Like, you are yanking her. Again, I think that his anger is justified, but you have been dragging this big-haired Peggy Bundy around the casino. I was like, bro, what is wrong with it? And nobody is saying, like, is she just that unlikable that people are like, fuck it, she deserves it? Or is it just like, Quinn the only uncorruptible in this episode? Because what are we doing? He was a terrible person.
Yeah.
Also, I got where did Wade get that suit? But Quinn counting cards as if this is some phenomenal thing. Like, this world didn't set up. Nobody's ever done that before. So to be like, oh, number 3, you are stupid. And them people should have broke every bone in your body, because what are you doing? That, and then Wade cutting into this world's Rembrandt with this high and mighty. This is right. That's the thing that pisses me off about the sliders, Rembrandt excluded, because he hasn't seemed to have done this. Is the same thing that pissed me off about Riverdale's Archie, Jughead, Betty, and Veronica, they were villains. You have them positioned as the heroes, but they're doing criminal shit. Like with this, the only reason why this Rembrandt in this world is bad is because Wade deems it so. We're not considering the morals of this world. That's what gets me. And it's like Sliders is a show that can really lend itself to examining different social norms.
Yep.
And I mean, any what if type show can, but Sliders in particular, because they've done some of this. The weaker sex. So it's just like, because she deems this bad, this whole world is, where was the smoke for 80% lawyer world? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
she was in a journal. She had her journal. She was distracted. Okay.
First of all, the journal got us in trouble in Blue Gate Bridge world. Why do you get the hell out of here? I'm taking that fucking journal. But it's her. I'm glad that Rembrandt put the fear of God in her.
Yeah.
Because what the hell is wrong with you, lady? You're gonna get to the wrong world where shit ain't gonna go right for you. But I don't like that they don't seem to change. Your morals can stay the same, but even Rembrandt still be like, oh, my career, that career shouldn't mean a damn thing at this point. And the professor ain't brought up his son since, and he didn't even bring the son up. That psychic did. He don't give a fuck about that boy. That's just Quinn and Wade are operating in privilege, and I think it's so funny to see because they are the heroes, quote unquote, of this episode, but they both, to me, were very villainous and very oblivious. You're in the middle of an FBI warehouse that is falling apart around you. The nicest thing in this warehouse is your suit and Rembrandt shirt. And you mean to tell me I'm done.
You just think it's good to talk shit. I mean, there was I'll make this quick. There's a Star Trek show called Enterprise. It was the one with Scott Bakula, Quantum Leap guy, which is adjacent to this, right? Hey. So there you go. So there's an episode basically that talks about the birth of the Federation when they started exploring, stranger worlds and all of that. So there was that idea of them taking their morality to these different worlds. And there's this part where they go to the space station and the engineer, this guy named Trip, and he's there with this Vulcan named T'Pol. T'Pol's seen it all. She's seen it all. But T'Pol, Trip is just like, I'm from Florida, and that's all I know, right? So he sees this alien mother, and it's this process of like she is depriving. It looks as if she's depriving her daughter of air. So she puts a breathing mask on and then takes it off, and then the child is like gasping for air. And so then Trip, this happens like 2 or 3 times. Trip yells at her. He's like, what you doing? We don't do that in Florida. And then T'Pol like calmly turns to him and says, calm the fuck down, human. She is of this race, this species. And that is what they do to get their children to like their lungs to expand. Like there's a better explanation of it. Yeah. Basically, the mom was looking at Trip like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Go back to Florida. But no, she doesn't say that. But that's the thing of like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, but I do definitely think that the white privilege is definitely wrapped up in that. But you would think that they would learn, with all the traveling that they're doing. When I would have seen a dinosaur, that's it. Nothing's normal.
I'm done. I'm fucking done. And those giant wasps that was like 5 feet tall.
It's like, because at least in the first season, everything was just like, what if this side won this war, right? That type of shit. But we see dinosaurs this season. So this is
contemporary dinosaurs.
Right. Like the giant, anything where there's a creature that exists that shouldn't exist. I'm not treating this Trip as the same. People, whatever. So anyways, Wade got shut down and that shit was hilarious. With like 2 sentences that Rembrandt, and that's how he was acting his ass off. He was just like, you're not gonna come in here. This place shitty already. So we get back to the San Francisco streets. I say Wade is killing it with the outfit.
Honestly.
And Wade and the professor, they have decided to set up a meeting with the DA government candidate. Not gonna say the last name. Let's call him Joe, right? Joe B. Like John B. Joe B. So they decide to give him the CD or the disc with the information on it. And I just put down, they stupidly believe that he's going to help them out, right? And I think the professor even says something like, I admire the fact that there are, upstanding politicians and whatever. So anyways, so we go to the hotel. Rembrandt and Leia have been captured when Quinn comes back. And it turns out, well, we'll find out who actually captured them and later on. So we go back to the San Fran streets. The Wade and the professor are riding in the back of a police van. And they think that, I don't know if I think they think they're going back to the hotel, or I don't know where they think they're going, but I guess the governor, have them ride in the back of this van. And it's weird because they don't think that anything is suspicious. And, and the professor is like, hey, we can slide with a clean conscience because we gave all the evidence to the most upstanding, politician.
Oh, dumb.
And so they get to, at least they're not like Quinn last episode, where Quinn was yelling at the ambulance driver, like, we need to make a right on Main Street. It's like, this is not your world.
From here. God.
At least they didn't do that, right? Yeah. So when they get to this warehouse, the Wade and professor have actually been taken by the Greenfields. And Tommy is there because, Tommy's a hothead. And Tommy is just like, you're going to die or some shit like that. And the thing, he is a cartoony character. Because as he walks away, his gun is just like he's just carried a gun like this in the air, just trying to be threatening. I don't know if you noticed, this is the warehouse from season 1 where they interrogated Rembrandt. He just laughed in the communist face. They have 11 minutes to slide because, hey, we always need we always need a last minute. Don Greenfield says he's looking for his daughter. The sliders are saying at this point it's Remy. Everybody's together, so that's the thing. So everybody's back together. Rembrandt and Quinn are tied up, and so we learned that now the DA and the governor candidate is on the take. He walks out of the back room saying, hey, you're going to die, and I should be here for this murder, right?
Right.
So it's just like, don't you usually hire somebody to do this? You don't have to be there. You should be trying to raise funds, right? But anyways, and so then we cut to the FBI is listening in with this world's Rembrandt, and it's a sting. It's and Leia is back there. That's what it is. It's Remy. So what it is that this world's Rembrandt is tied up, and our world's Rembrandt, for some reason, dressed like they just had dressed like the FBI agent is dressed in, and he's like, we got to get in there. And so once the DA admits that he's working with the Greenfields, that's when they, I say attack, but they raid the place. I put here, I hate Tommy. Tommy is like I don't know, because like they have him like shooting, like just shooting the gun. Everybody who gets shot is the mobster, all the FBI agents. There was a sister there. I like that. Like she was there. She was in the background. She shot some gangsters. Everybody's dead. Tommy's dead. And then what did I say? Wade starts talking ish. Wade's for some reason, I don't know. But anyways, everybody's dead. They untie the sliders because everybody believes that they are sliders now. If the Greenfield Senior is arrested, Tommy is killed. Rush ending. This is where they revealed they did the switcheroo. And the thing that I love is that Clavant Derek's brother is brought back, which was cool. It was funny because I told my wife that Raina's gonna love this. They brought him back, but I'm trying to get this brother's name. But anyways, so we cut to the warehouse outside. The portal opens up, and the professor said, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Hey,
Professor, if anything. he is always on point with that. He's just like, I ain't got no connection to this world. I told y'all to chill in the hotel as it was, and he said, I'm out. He jumps through the portal. Quinn gives the money to Leia to give to the lady at the hotel for some reason. Rembrandt.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So sad.
Rembrandt is talking with his double, who is played by his brother, and there, he's talking about like keep hope alive, and I think they do like the Black Power Fist or whatever.
Yes,
which is like, I was like, okay,
that had nothing to do with
like that.
Never.
Yeah, and especially if you were fed doing that, that's even worse. So whatever. I think the director was like, hey, what, do a hand symbol, and Clement was like, I'll give these motherfuckers what they want. I'm trying to stay on the show. So Meltor, and so then, I think he jumps to the portal. The portal's open for a while, right?
Right.
And so then Quinn hears somebody in the shadows saying, hey, cool cat, don't you like when cars explode and you're not dead? And then it's Mel Torme, right? Mel Torme is alive. And I put in the notes, the portal should have closed by now. And Mel Torme says something to like Quinn about, hey, you can't kill a cat if it has 9 lives. And Quinn goes, advanced math theory. And anyway, so then he finally jumps. But the thing that always also gets me is that no one reacts to the portal. Mel Torme, Leia, this world's Rembrandt. Like, what the actual hell? Everybody is just like cool with this. And so the sliders get off the world. And we go back to the casino because for some reason, and we show the lady, the lady that had duped Quinn with the guy who had played like the abuser and the bartender, and he says they basically said that they got over on him, and he came back for more. And so then they cut with her like just looking off in the distance, like reassessing her career, her life. And then it cuts to credits. It's just like,
that was so dumb.
Yeah, so that's a lot to unpack. What are your thoughts about
all this shit was fucking stupid. I hated that. So my good smart ass, when Rembrandt and Rembrandt were together, I was like, okay, this is good practical effects. But once they clasped hands like Smokestack, I was like, oh, that's his brother. There's no way 1990s freaking effects were that good that I was like, that what the hell? So that was another part of the episode. I was like, all right, I'm for this. I will say I am Arturo from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
You bitches that put me through too much shit. Let's go. The car is waiting. Why do they shoot the portal so far away from them? I have no idea. Why do they always do that? I mean, the portal will be like in the next room. Let's just shoot it at the floor next time. Homegirl Leah kissing Quinn was
I forgot about that. That was the other thing she could.
There's no.
Jerry O'Connell was the sex symbol of the 1990s or something like they.
What are we doing? I was like, why are you kissing this man? Like, you are in a post-traumatic stress situation where your father is evil as hell trying to kill you. Yeah. You've gotten out of a terrible wedding. You're going into witness. Well, not. I don't know what the hell.
Not anymore.
Why are we kissing this man? What the fuck does that have to? Was it just because he was close? There was no reason for her to kiss him. I was just like, at first I was like, oh, okay, because I'm just used to him getting every fucking woman that walks on screen. Yes. I was like, no, she has no connection to him. This is weird. She should have kissed Wade. Like, there's so many other people you could have kissed, and you kissed this motherfucker. Quinn, fuck Quinn. Wade, screw her too. Quinn has no survival instinct. When Mel Torme was in the shadows, yeah, kid, what time is it? I'm running. I thought he was gonna get shot. I thought that was somebody who was like, yeah, you took us down, and they were gonna kill him. Why are we here talking to this man for 5 paragraphs when your ride is? I thought the portal was gonna close. Right. I understand the premise of the show, and I still was like, oh, this is about to close. You're gonna be stuck here. Then we turn around and he's going like Batman. What is the point? What is you are 100 years old and you survive? He's immortal. Mel Torme is a vampire.
So I'm gonna let you keep talking. I'm sorry.
The whole ending. If I'm being honest, this is probably why I did not like the episode.
Yeah.
It was probably this, because what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Y'all always talk about, oh, we gotta hurry up and go. But in the opening sequence, you just push the button and jump right through. But whenever there's something going on, you want to rush to Act 3, and then you want to take your time and give us 7 minutes of jumping through a portal. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? I don't. This is why Arturo, you will forever be famous, because why are we here? That little first of all, if I was this world's Rembrandt, I would have at least got a few licks on Slider's Rembrandt. You fucked this up for me. You got Mel Torme killed. And then here go your little Captain America with no. These people are stupid. What I didn't like the most out of all of that was that end scene. I didn't need to see this lady. I don't care what she's up, because you're not going to follow up on this. So what is the point? And then you didn't even, in my opinion, do her story, present her story in a way that felt like she didn't want this life. And she was just, to be like, oh, let me look off in the distance. Now it's like, so what? Like, Jillian of the Saints is top tier for me.
You keep going, but
no woman on this show is coming close to her. They're gonna have to work mighty hard, because her episode was done so well. I could see a story where this woman, that ending mattered, but it doesn't. Like, you haven't done anything for that to be a payoff. And I don't. And they're like, oh yeah, we fooled that sucker twice. Even that, like, I hate Quinn. I'm just like, but why? What's the point? Cut it out altogether.
Yeah,
cut that out. Make Leah have a twin sister and put her in that role. At least the kiss makes sense. And like, all in all, better episode than I initially thought. Leave it
there. I think the only thing I was going to add to was, I keep going back to these older movies or older TV shows.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Hudson Hawk. If you want to see 90s pure camp, like an action adventure, that's the movie to see. But it's Bruce Willis is a burglar who is hired to steal an item of note, but he goes against a group of henchmen and henchwomen who are named after candy bars. That's all I'm going to say. So if you can find Hudson Hawk, check it out. But there's a part in it where Danny Aiello from you know him from movies like Do the Right Thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a part where he's in a limousine fighting with a bad guy, and then they go off the side of a mountain, and it blows up like in a 90s movie. So you're thinking like Hudson Hawk's friend is dead.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie where Hudson Hawk is with his, his love interest, Danny Aiello walks up like a Looney Tunes character, like black, not blackface, like he's been burned and all this shit. And then Hudson Hawk says, and let's say Tony, he said, Tony, you're alive. And then Tony says, yeah, and then he says, how? And then Tony says, it was, water, it was sprinklers, fucking water sprinklers. Do you believe it? That's the type of humor. So when I saw Mel Torme spinning off to the side, I thought he was going to say something like, it's fucking water sprinklers. Do you believe it? And then he, kind of looked at the camera. But that was the goofiest shit. Like when they put him at the end, because in my mind, like he just jumped out of the car and rolled away.
But also, where have you been all this time, Mel Torme?
He's been hiding. He said, I didn't mess up the job. Hey, y'all did.
Right. You're absolutely right. I give it to him. But also, how did you know to come here? Why are you here?
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Mel knows everything. Mel Torme. Shout out to Mel Torme. Okay, so Let's go. Favorite and least favorite character.
Favorite is honestly a tie between Arturo and Detective Rembrandt, because that and I'm because I don't like the professor, I want to kind of give it to him because I rarely ever do. But I gotta give it to this world's Rembrandt because that he really transformed in front of my very eyes. So he's my most favorite. Least favorite, I want to say Wade, but even with the shit that Wade did, I gotta go with Quinn. Quinn has to be my lead because Wade was talking her shit, but at least that's consistent. And she didn't she did it like once or twice, but it felt like the same Wade from, was it last episode? They were in a hotel again. There was something, I think it was last episode. I can't remember, but there was something that she like
obsession.
Is that when they went to the police station? Or she made Rembrandt go some kind of, but what I'm saying is she felt consistent, even though she annoyed me. Quinn, however, I don't buy that he's this wonderful everyman. So no, he's my least favorite, even more so than the girl that pickpocketed him. Quinn was terrible.
Okay. Cool. So my favorite, I'm gonna double up Rembrandt. Goodfellas, Greatfellas world, Rembrandt. So Clavant Derrick's brought it. He showed us another side of Rembrandt that we haven't seen, and that was one of the things that you think about. He rarely, and Wade I don't think has gotten one, but we rarely see their doubles, if any, and we've seen plenty of doubles for the professor and Quinn, and we've always seen the opposite of their characters. So it was good to see. I mean, and technically, when they went to the King is Back world, but it seemed like he was still himself outside of wanting to get away from the celebrity of it all. So he's my favorite. As far as like least favorite, Tommy. Tommy he was cartoonishly he was a cartoony gangster. Like when that scene where he was hurting, taking Wade and the professor away from the man, and he was just holding the gun up in the air, was just irritating. But and him just like being all over like the hothead or whatever. So least favorite. So what about your favorite and least favorite moment from the episode?
That's going to be a little bit more difficult because I still have my same feelings, but I do like the episode more than when we started. Favorite, I don't see, it wasn't my favorite, but I do think they did that burnt car really well. Even Quinn, I hate him, but I was like, yeah, he felt that. He felt what he did. I'm probably going to go with Rembrandt, Detective Rembrandt, getting Wade to shut the hell up, because in that scene, the professor, he knew like, all right, let's calm the fuck down. Rembrandt gave her the what for, and his acting was stellar. And then we're in this dirty ass warehouse. So it's like, girl, where do you expect us to hide this lady? Like, so I think that seeing him, because I think all three of them, their acting was really good there. Least favorite. Probably, if I'm going to be honest, Quinn initially saving that casino girl.
Okay.
Because that feels like that's where shit went off the rails. Even more so than like, hey y'all, that's the crime, man. I just got here. Like, even more than that, it's like you doing what you do best, which is getting everyone's way. So yeah.
Okay. So my favorite moment is back on Lawsuit World. I like that sequence. I like that sequence, and it was funny because early on you had said that when you said we didn't need more time here because we got what we needed from it, I thought you were talking about the entire episode on the casino world. So that's why I was laughing. I was just like, "Oh damn, you was completely done."
No.
But I understand what you're saying. But to my point, they did a lot of really good world building within only the couple of minutes that they were there. So you got a sense of like, if they had been here for a while, they've been struggling because they can't do anything, right? So I actually really like that. And that whole sequence. So that was my favorite part. Least favorite part was just the end sequence from the raid until the 5-hour long wait to slide. None of that worked for me. You know, Quinn getting kissed, seeing Mel Torme, them using the black, power to the people symbol, and like he's a federal agent, so that's kind of weird. The best part about that was the professor running through and saying, like, I ain't dealing with this. So, but that whole sequence, because we talk about this, they rush. Every episode does not have to be an under the wire or close to the minute, whatever, rush to get away.
Right.
I think if you balance that out with some episodes where like, okay, let's casually just leave, But yeah, that whole sequence, that was my least favorite moment.
And what happened to Heidi? Remember they used to go in back alleys, go to empty parks. That's like,
I mean, if nobody's gonna react,
which is crazy. Like, because I'm not shattering your worldview. This ain't even an episode where like science fiction and magic is involved. It's like, you just stopped the crime boss. All right, like, can you imagine Law and Order ending with like Quantum Leap? Like, yeah, you stopped that serial apist. Bye. Like, what? What are we doing?
And then it goes doo-doo.
Right? Oh my God. Executive producer Dick Wolf, and then Slide.
Oh my God.
That shit was so crazy.
So yeah, so that's that. So out of how many, I'm trying to think of one. Out of how many broke down FBI headquarters are you rating this episode?
Because of the discussion, I'm rating it higher than I would have initially.
Okay.
I'm going to go with, I want to go 6.5, but that honestly feels too low. Quinn is a deterrent for me, but seeing twin Rembrandt in real life and in continuity, I can comfortably place this. This is going to be so petty, but I want to do 6.9 because I would love to go 7, because I honestly, through the discussion, felt like this is much better than I initially felt. But this oversaturated Quinn and his B-plot side story, it just took away from. So I don't want to give it 6 anything, but I'm gonna do 6.9. Broke down FBI facilities. I can't do it in good conscience. Give a 7.
Got you. Well, I'll take your good conscience and I'll give it a 7.
No. Oh man.
This yeah, I mean, we've had some episodes which I keep going back to the chart. Episode 1 and episode 4 were the ones that episode 1, 4, and 6 were the ones where we were just like, no. And this one, it's I want to say like it kind of stayed at a 7 for me. And I always feel that 7, like if you get to a 6, that means that we could have watched something else, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, and like 7. So if you're closer to 7, then that means like, okay, there was something of worth that you got from this, and it worked. But when you start getting 8 and above, that's when it's just like, oh, okay, well, you didn't completely. So,
and I'm for this one. I think this, I might look back more favorably on this one. I think as we proceed, continue whatever. But yeah.
So I mean, we're still in the ballpark. Like you 6.9 and 7. So this really does make me want to go back and watch those 3 episodes because just to see, because like I said, episode 1 episode 4 and episode 6 are the ones where they're the lowest rated ones that we've had. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll see towards the end of this season when we finish this up, I'll send you the list because it's just interesting to kind of see. Like 1 week we were like, then
yeah,
we were like feeling it. Like episode 7 and 8 were the ones that we were really hyped about, and I think episode 7 that has to be oh shit, no. What was Gillian of the
Gillian of the Saints?
Episode 3. Okay, yeah. Whoa, I completely missed that. That was the highest rated one. So that was 9 and 9. Yeah, those are the two. Episode 3 and episode 7 and episode 8. Those are the highest rated ones that we've had. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, we'll do all that in the wrap up. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this one was an episode, and you know we got one coming right after this one.
I happened to kind of look at the title, and I got out the app real quick. And I was like, oh Lord, I know this is gonna be some shit.
Now that I know what this one is, yeah, I'm really yeah, I'm interested to see which it's The Young and the Restless, right?
Yeah. Let me make sure because I think so. Yes. Let's do this damn app. Come on, watch credits. Yeah, because the thumbnail looks very soap opera-ish.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was like, oh, let me get out of here before I spoil something for myself. So yeah.
I think you'll enjoy that for reasons.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Cool, man.
Oh, yeah, this was one for the books. Listeners, let us know what y'all thoughts are. Who's your favorite, least favorite, and what's your favorite scene and least favorite scene, and how many dilapidated FBI facilities do you rate this out of 10? Because I don't know, Robert, you got something for these folks? Well, let them know they can find you, support you, and all that good stuff.
Robert K. Jeffrey, JEFFREY.com is my website, and Instagram, robertk.jeffrey, and wanted to say special thanks to everybody who came out I did a signing this past weekend at Urban Comic Company in Ackworth, Georgia. So thank you for everybody who swung by and picked up some books and just talk geek stuff. But yeah, that's and here on Carefree BlackNerd is where you can find me.
No doubt. That's what's up. Yes, you're definitely going to find Robert leading the charge. Again, this show is brought to you by Robert's Interests. That's how we got here. Yeah, same for me. Carefree BlackNerd or Carefree Blurred, wherever you are on social media, TikTok, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads. I think I'm on there as well. And also get my motherfucking book. And yeah, that's it, man. I'm hopeful for next episode. I'll say optimistic and hopeful. So yeah, until next time, y'all, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and if you're going to, I don't know, catch a mark at the casino, just like do it and move on.
Yeah.
Don't keep doing it. Even though he deserves it, don't keep doing it. Please don't. All right, y'all.
Bye, y'all.